Nope. N- uh, nope, I can't. Cannot. Ah. Hello.
What? Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I think we're both here in the sync up, yes?
Yeah, indeed, yes.
Okay, do you have headphones on or a speaker?
Yeah, I've got my headphones on so I can hear. So,
Okay,
and my speaker is to the right of me for a change instead of the left.
mute your speaker.
Mute.
You should only your headphones should be giving you audio.
Audio in. Right, I've got. Oh, the speaker's on my laptop or my mic.
Okay, so then you should be using them for just your mic, not your output.
I know what's going to happen here. Audio out. My audio input still working. My audio out is muted. I can still hear you.
Perfect. I don't hear my. That's perfect. I don't think I hear myself anymore.
Oh, right. So,
The problem is when you stream with somebody else and you have your speakers on, they can hear themselves.
ah, no, my speakers. That was one of the issues that we had originally, and since then, I've basically my speakers on my laptop. They're janky anyway. They've been permanently muted, so whenever I want to watch, like listen and watch something, it's only through my headphones, either wireless or wired.
So test it and see if you can hit play on the video. Perfect.
Yay, Milo!
Okay, I think you figured it out then. That gives us both the ability to um, hit play and pause. And I think let me check something.
You alright, darling?
Yeah,
I, I see Bondi got fired.
finally.
Because she wasn't doing her job, apparently. Those court cases were illegal, you tangerine idiot. Mm. I think he's going to lash out now, even though he's fired her. Just me
Well,
being.
yeah, of course, he always does.
Mm. No more Pam Bondi, everyone. I wonder who's going to take a sip of the poison chalice next.
I know, seriously. Hold on. Let's see.
What the hell is Milo doing?
Oh, it's the April Fools.
Oh, is it his April Fool's one? Because I love the title. I found the lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah, I'm just testing my audio here.
is he doing?
So in order to get it in my stream, I just copied the web page URL and put it into a browser source. So that's perfect. So that's how right now you can watch something.
I've just done screen. I've just done a the screen capture.
Yeah, whatever works.
That's how I do most of it anyway. Pasting in the URL, I have to go through 3 different steps because it moans here about the Online Safety Act because the government here are paranoid, but well, not paranoid, they're bastards.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know I did run the screen capture, yeah. Alright, so now we know that works. Alright, I'm gonna leave. The weather is giving me another fucking migraine. It's trying to rain, but it won't rain.
What's the temperature been like?
It is 35 right now, so it's not too bad. It's cloudy and it really wants to rain, but it won't.
Same for me, Divinia.
So I'm gonna hop out now. Now that we know it works, I'm gonna log in and create myself an account right now to see if it works.
Cool.
So we'll set up a day before I go away. We'll do a few days and I'll pass it to you. We'll watch that video before I go
Okay, okay.
together.
Nice one.
Alright.
Yeah, get back to me.
Fantastic.
You're welcome. Get back to me whenever you want to do it then, darling.
No, sounds good.
Cool. My
Bye.
bye. Okay, everyone. It works. Yay! So rejoice! I'm going to be able to do a watch long with Shanna on her channel at some point. Get back to us on that one. You're welcome, my dear. 4 degrees here. Super Hubby went to bed early tonight. He went at back at 7 after he watched one of his favourite NCISs. Okay. Oh God, how do I change the stream? Fuck it. Just leave the stream title alone. Pre-Kevin warm-up. Newsflash. Brummy comrade on the leftist mafia. 1 a.m. UK time for all UK based peoples. I'm usually awake then anyway, so fuck it. But I feel for some people, some friends. 1 a.m. start is kind of horrible for some people. I'm fine with it. I was half expecting them to go live between like 11 and midnight, going on when Lance usually goes live. But yeah, 1 a.m. So we can maybe get in 2 hours before Kev goes live. I couldn't find the story I was talking about last night on the National, but fuck it, let's go into my account, shall we? To see if I can actually fucking find it. No, the National. Oh, it's the national.scot. Right. I like that one. Abortion is healthcare, so ram it, Bunty. uh, Horizon 2026. Will that work? Fuck it. Scottish election 2026. Right, I'll check that in a minute. Right. The National is set to host a Holyrood election hustings next month, and readers are invited to put Scotland's parties on the spot. Malcolm offered, are you a twat? I don't think that's a valid question. The live debate, chaired by columnist Asa Samaki Roman, will take place on Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 8:30, and will be streamed across all of the national social media platforms. Wow. With exactly 1 month until the vote, representatives from 5 parties will be asked about their stance on big issues of the campaign, from cost of living, NHS pressures and climate policy to independence, devolution and Scotland's place in the world. Holly, cool. It's got Colin on. Sweet. Oh God, Christine. The level of contempt those two parties have for us. Fine, fuck the pair he is. So Stephen Gittins for the SNP, Holly Bruce for the Scottish Greens, Thomas Kerr for Reform. That's from Egypt. He's a councillor here. Christine Jardine, she's an MP. And massive transphobe. And Colin Fox for the Scottish Socialist Party. Cool. Labour and Tory bastards did not respond. Bastards. Fine, fuck his. So it's not Malcolm Offord, it's his little lapdog, Thomas Kerr. Look. Voters will be able to submit questions in advance and during the event. We hope this event will give readers a direct line to the politicians seeking their support. Well, you can't fucking do that. I'd want to ask the whatever one Labour have put up. There's no point asking the Tory a question. Looks like they're going to go down to 8 sub 10 MSPs. Ha! I would have wanted to have asked whatever Labour person they put on a couple of a question, but no. I'll say again, the level of contempt they have for the people of Scotland knows no bounds, apparently. We hope this event will give readers a direct line to the politicians seeking their support and to offer a lively, informed debate at a crucial moment in the race for Scotland's Parliament. The National's editor, Laura Webster, I quite like her, said, "We know that the readers of the National have questions for our nation's politicians that just won't be put to them by other publications. This hustings is a great chance to dive into those issues, and we are grateful to all the parties involved who have shown they are willing to engage in healthy debate. You might feel free to call the Labour and Tories cowards as well if you want. We don't want anyone to pull any punches. Oh God. If Labour had actually put someone up, I wouldn't have pulled any punches at all anyway. Let's make this a full and frank hustings that gets to the answers national readers are looking for. We hope you'll tune in and read all about it. Block of ice. A la Bojo. Fucking level of contempt bastards that they are. Okay, let's... Oh. I'm in my account. Cool. Eh. Right. Kev's going on the leftist mafia. Oh God, I've not got my... Give me a minute, everyone. I was looking for a story there. Put volume down before... Oh! Date watch. Oh, no. Didn't mean to do that. Stream manager. Oh! Oh, Specs is in YouTube. Bring my chat up, please. Ah, whoops. Oh, don't worry, Divinia, about that. Oh, whoops. 86 charged. Scottish Green supporters have been warned to look out for a far-right group running in May's elections with a similar name over fears it will take away votes from the party. Public service announcement for all Scottish Green members will know. Go there. The Independent Green Voice, founded by a former UKIP Scottish organiser and Holocaust denier, fun, Alistair McConaughey, are set to stand 8 candidates in the Holyrood election, prompting concerns that they will confuse some voters intending to vote for the Scottish Greens. The Greens have repeatedly complained to the Electoral Commission over the IGV's branding after the campaign group changed their logo from a forearm with thumbs up to a leaf with the words Independent Green Vote. If they're copying what the... What the hell? Yeah, bastards. So, like, there we go. There we go. I am not taking you into my members portal. I am keeping that separate from everything. If you want to see behind the members portal, become a member. I would encourage anyone to, if you're like me, if you're an eco-socialist, care about the environment, cost of living crisis, feel free to join Scottish Greens. They are a rather awesome party. There we go. It is brilliant. I love my party so much. Right. The Greens have repeatedly complained to the Electoral Commission over the IGV's branding after the campaign group changed their logo from a forearm with thumbs up to a leaf with words Independent Green Voice with green in large letters. During the 2021 Holyrood election, the Greens accused the group of confusing voters, eventually costing them 2 seats in the Parliament. The National previously revealed that more than 300 complaints from voters concerning the party's name and logo potentially misleading voters were submitted to the Electoral Commission in 2021. Despite its green name and logo, the group has previously been labelled as a fascist front. Delightful. As well as being founded by former UKIP Scottish organiser and Holocaust denier, 2 of its 2021 candidates were fucking former BNP bastards. Fucking hell. Alistair McConaughey, IGV's Glasgow candidate, founded pro-union group A Force for Good and is a former UKIP member who was investigated by the party in 2001 after he made comments about the Holocaust. Brilliant. The party also stood ex-BNP activist Max Dunbar on the Scotland South list. Dunbar is a former treasurer for the Scottish branch of the British National Party and was previously involved with Scotland in Union and Friends of Israel, before both groups distanced themselves from him. Former BNP activist John M.B. Robertson was also on the Central Scotland list, so that fucking hell. Robertson stood for the BNP in 2009. He ran for... by the way, my grandparents and my dad, so my grandparents lived there, they weren't brought up there, but my dad was brought up in Annie's Land. It's just, I don't think. The group was virtually unknown prior to the 2021 election, despite having no social media presence and no manifesto. The group won 2,210 votes in Glasgow. What are Glaswegians doing voting for fascist bastards? Glasgow, do better. The last time they put forward a list candidate was in 2007, where they won 496 votes. The Greens were 1,000 votes away from taking a second regional seat, which eventually went to the bastards. Which eventually went to the Tories. In South Scotland, IGV won 1,690 votes, where the Greens only needed one. Oh, you fuckers. Only needed 100 votes to take the final regional seat. The National previously revealed the contents of some of the complaints submitted to the Electoral Commission. The report showed that the group had confused some voters, and the similar name and logo was particularly dangerous for the elderly voters or people with lower vision. I'm not. Probably not, Davinia. If it's been done in the last sort of few days, probably not. Once I finish reading this, I'll oh, fucking hell. Fuck. Lego video. Cool. We will get round to it then in a minute. Well, once I finish reading this and once I get back. 2 minutes, please, everyone. Ow, knees. Fuck. Haha. Oh my god. Rejoice, I return. Right. One rule, my mother in her 80s did not know or expect there to be two Green parties. She voted for the independent Green Party in error as a result. Ooh. I expect many more people may make the same natural mistake. Another voter who said they were registered blind with low vision also said they were confused by the party name and logo, that they almost voted for them. They added this group seems to have intentionally misled voters and it is unacceptable that should be allowed. Speaking exclusively to the National, Scottish Greens co-leader Ross Greer. Talia, welcome in, my dear. Rejoice, comrades. Talia button in the chat. Speaking exclusively to the National, Scottish Greens co-leader Ross Greer said IGV were losers, playing a pretty sad joke. Well said, Ross. Well said. He said a key focus of the Scottish Greens 2026 campaign will be making sure people know exactly who to cast their ballot for by running their biggest ever digital campaign. That is happening currently. He added, these losers are playing a pretty sad joke. We cannot for a moment dismiss just how ugly their characters are, though. This is a group that is led by a man who was shut out of UKIP for Holocaust denial, deeply unpleasant individuals involved in the Independent Green Voice. Well said, Ross. Well said. It only exists to take votes away from the Scottish Greens. We're going to make it absolutely clear to people that the only real Green option on the ballot paper is the option that says Scottish Greens. We are Scotland's Green Party, and it is essential that everyone who intends on voting Green make sure they are voting for the Scottish Green Party. Thank you, Ross. Thank you. Nose. Yes, I know I'm live. Lego. Go. Thank you, Davinia. Oh God. Oh no, there it is. Corrected. Huh. Oh God. You think my left eye showed this? Cool. Lefty is rather good at finding these ones, isn't he? Right, I had to mute my speakers. Let's see if this works. If you can't hear the video again, I'll see what I can do. Huh. Oh. I'm an umpty. Try again. Linton. Get there eventually. Bloody hell, Independent. Going brutal here.
اضرب.
That's only 14 minutes, right?
There is about to be a political earthquake in Wales. In every election since the Welsh Parliament was created in 1999, Labour has been the largest party in the Senedd, and the nation has had a Labour First Minister. But the dominance goes even further back. In UK-wide elections, Labour has sent the most Welsh MPs to Westminster since 1922, so over a century. And that's all about to change.
Holy fuck. We like to joke up here that they never used to weigh the Labour vote up here. They never used to count it, they weighed it. Like this, because of the boundary changes, blah blah blah, the previous seat, I've still lived in the I still live in the same fucking place, but the previous Westminster constituency basically voted for Labour for decades until it got fucking pissed off. Then went to SNP, and then we went back to them. Labour are finished, yeah. If they lose Wales, they're fucked. Keep your eyes on the Senate, everyone, because if that actually happens and Plaid get hoover up the majority of the seats, essentially. He'll be he's already untenable, fuck it. But if they lose Wales, Stammer's screwed. Mark my words on that one, he's fucked. It's going to be glorious, Linton. It's going to be glorious. No, I will dance a jig. It is estimated that they're going to go down to like between 11 and 14 seats here. You will literally see me dancing a jig on my mega stream for the count. With any fucking luck, we will boot Jackie Bailey and the SNP will take Dumbarton. Please. I beg of yours. There are pockets of rich bastards in that seat though, unfortunately. They lost Scotland. They're losing Wales. Come next election, they will lose the North East. I'll probably just kind of dance in my chair. Or maybe I'll stand up. But yeah, for me to properly do a jig, I probably need to move my chair back the way. And this thing is fucking heavy. It has a metal frame and it's got electronics and stuff. So probably not. You will not be able to stop me from laughing though. Ha ha! It's a quick way to get alcohol poisoning, Linton. Would I be able to do that for this campaign, for this vote? I'm not sure how many actual constituencies the Tories and Tories and Labour have. They've got a good few. Rejoice, Beast Canadian in chat. Hi, Ugly. This is going to be a short one because Kevin is on the Leftist Mafia. That's going to be delightful. And he says he'll be going live at 1 a.m-ish UK time. Which will be, I don't. If it's 1 a.m. here, what time will it be for the other Leftist Mafia? Do you know, Igloo? Oh my god. It's looking like they're going to, the Tories up here, they're not going to have any constituencies. And they're all going to be list.
According to the latest MRP poll from YouGov, Labour will drop from 44 seats to 12 in May's Senedd elections. The big winners will be Reform, who would go from 0 seats to 30, and Plaid Cymru, who would become the largest party with 43 seats. That means Plaid's leader, Rhys ap Iorwerth, is favourite to be the Welsh First Minister after May. He joined me and Aaron Bastani in the studio earlier today, and I asked him whether he was ready for that job.
The key thing, I think, is that there's been real consistency in the polls going back probably a year and a half or a little bit more now, and it tells a very consistent story. Plaid Cymru ahead in many of them, but Reform not that far behind, and it's that two-horse race, which I think is really gelling in people's minds now. It's the choice of two very, very different futures for Wales. Are we ready? Yeah, I mean, we are putting an awful lot of work into trying to win the election, but we have put an awful lot of work into making sure that we're ready to hit the ground running as well if the people of Wales put their trust in us.
And how would the sequencing work? So if you look at the SNP, they're the largest party in the mid-2000s. Yep. They then win a majority. They then have a referendum. Is that kind of how you guys see the pathway to a referendum for autonomy or independence for Wales panning out?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, the main thing I think that...
Of the right sort. I wonder what they mean by that. I've got this stupid fucking angle and I can't sit properly. That's better.
I want to see happening in this election is for that historic change to happen, and it is massively significant. Well, Labour's been winning elections for 100 years. You know, they have done well over a century and more. But at some point, we need that break from the political monotony and lack of political renewal that comes from that, and that is the opportunity. Now, yes, I have a vision for the future of Wales. It's about building confidence right now, dealing with the things with the powers that we have right now. But I do want to, persuade the people of Wales, hopefully, to be more confident about what we can achieve. The timescale for what happens with that, I genuinely think it's in the hands of the people of Wales. I'll do what I can to guide them. I certainly don't believe this is as good as things get for Wales, but I need to persuade the people of Wales of that as well.
Are you less ambitious than the SNP then? Because it sounds to me like you want to be better administrators at the Senedd than the Labour Party, rather than actually offering a certain kind of national project in the same way that Alex Salmond wanted to.
I described it this week in launching our campaign. I'll do what I can to guide them. This is a mission to transform better than this. The United Kingdom, it doesn't work for Wales as it is, and I have ambition unbounded in what we can achieve as a nation. But I'm also a pragmatic politician that I can't impose independence or anything on Wales. I have to persuade the people of Wales, and it's that passion that I will show, that the SNP showed in Scotland and continue to do so, that will hopefully make people confident in coming with us. But there's the reality of politics and the here and now, and things that we need to deal with on health and jobs and inequalities and poverty that we need to crack on with and show people, these Plaid Cymru guys, they know what they're doing. We'll trust them, and hopefully that trust can grow. But first of all, we've got to do it in this election.
I suppose, there'll be viewers from Wales will ask you about sort of Welsh politics in one moment, but just sticking to this question of independence. So I was looking at the dates when it came to the SNP. So they become the largest party in 2007.
Yeah.
In 2011 they win a majority, and the referendum is in 2014. So it's all quite quick. You're about to become, if we believe the polls, the largest party. So if there's the same sequence, we could have an independence referendum in Wales by 2033. Is that something you see as plausible, or are you on a different track?
Of course it's plausible if we can persuade the people of Wales that is what they want to do. And what the SNP did in 2007 was to say that we will, from 2011, make the case to have the right to have a referendum. Because as it stands, we don't have that right. I mean, so unequal is this United Kingdom that we don't even have the powers to call a vote on our own future. Now, we make that case. We make the case for why we think that should happen. We make the case for the benefits that would come from that. We be honest about the challenges that come with that, so that the people of Wales hopefully will come with us. And goodness me, there's been a massive change in the last few years in the number of people who not only have said we are really confident in our ability to become an independent nation now, but more importantly, the people who are curious about it and say, we'd like it, not entirely convinced yet, so convince us. And I think that has been a massively significant shift in the past few years, and we've got a bit of work to do again. And I say this, independence means different things to different people as well, so we have to show what it is and what it isn't.
I've got it paused for a minute there, my dear. Okay. I'll wait, see when. Got rid of the glue. Oh, fucking... Did you get the nice one? Carry on, Rowan.
I'm not an isolationist. I've no interest whatsoever in Wales closing itself away from the world. It's redesigning the relationship between the nations in these islands so we can work better together, all of us, you know?
And has devolution worked for Wales up to this point? I mean, there's a democratic argument for it, obviously, but there are lots of areas of very significant social policy where the outcomes seem worse. So sort of education and health being the most obvious examples, where...
Because they're hamstrung, Michael? They get less money than us. But we got a bigger block. Trust me, the Barnett formula doesn't work at all anyway. Fucking. But they gave us the more money to us to quell us, essentially, and in some fashion it has worked. There's unionists still up here, unfortunately. Nothing against them, of course. I don't like Westminster. That contempt shows with Labour and the Tories not fucking turning up to the hustings on this coming Tuesday. Fine, fuck the periods. Oh, it is Linton. Yeah. Who is Supermod? Shanna. So, Shanna, Supermod. So she's the main modern editor and things. She has full access for everything that happens here as well. I have the overall control. And Shanna's basically just half a step below me. So, yeah. Try not to piss her. Try not to piss me off, but I'm amenable. I'm quite approachable. But don't get me wrong. I will time people out if you try not to be too objectionable. Especially now that we're in an election period up here and in Wales, oddly enough. I have to show. I'm going to try and do what the main broadcasters and newspapers have to do. They legally have to do it. They have to give each party or candidate, party, their fair share. Essentially, I'm going to try and stick to that. But at the end of the day, if Labour and the Tories are going to show contempt to the people of Scotland, fuck them. Fuck them. I'll check in and see what Anas is doing anyway, and what Russell Finley's doing. Just to make sure. Ubermod. I'm just a normal pleb. You're not a pleb, Omaha. Stop that.
Wales is underperforming England, even though the funding is the same. So, I mean, what's going on there? Presumably that's not going to give Welsh people like lots of confidence in independence.
I mean, devolution in itself is a principle that decisions should be taken, I believe, as close to the people that those decisions affect. And I believe in that Wales is a nation, and that the normal state of a nation is to be able to design and influence its own future. But you're right, it has to also then be a means to do things, and to do things better. Do I believe Welsh Government, using the tools that we currently have through devolution, have been making best use of those tools? Well, no. I'm a leader of a party that has been in opposition for all of that 27 years, apart from as a junior party in government nearly 20 years ago, now in a coalition. I don't think government has made the best of what it has got at its disposal, and we're putting a programme for government to try to do things better.
What's your analysis of what went wrong on a policy perspective? And I suppose especially I'm thinking of education, where Wales has gone down sort of in the PISA rankings. It is really underperforming England, especially when it comes to the least privileged children. And I suppose I want to know, what's your critique? What did the Labour administration in Wales get wrong, and what would you do differently?
On education, I think more than anything it took its eye off the ball. We have a hugely proud record in education in Wales, one of the first nations in the world to have a generally literate population. You know, we were ahead of the game many years ago, and we've let slip. And much of that, I think, has been in government not focusing on what needs to be doing. And going into this election, we want to strip it back to those basics of numeracy and literacy, preparing our young people to have those basic things that they need to flourish in life. But we can look at a host of other areas as well. On health, for example, the lack of regeneration of ideas is one of the big problems that we have. A government that is in power so long becomes risk averse, I think. You need new energy, new ideas coming in every now and then with that sort of rhythm of politics that allows you to change direction. And one of the principles that we're putting in place in trying to govern in a different way is to put what we call a test and learn model in place, where we try things, and if they don't work, we change direction. And what we see all too often is a stagnation in the delivery. Well, in only in those terms we need that change in this election, but it comes from ideas as well.
And the argument that's often made, I think the Institute for Fiscal Studies said this about the Welsh education system, is that they sort of tried to move away from testing because sort of they thought they wanted a more comfortable, I suppose, education system, and the IFS thinks it's backfired. So would you sort of be reintroducing more testing, more targets into the system?
I think what we do need to be willing to do is to do what we feel is right for education, and moving away from any testing or any way of measuring progress clearly doesn't work. And I'm not interested in league tables of schools. I don't think that works. But do we need better ways of measuring progress? Absolutely we do. And progress for the child as well as progress for a school, for example.
And on devolution, if you look at Cardiff, you look at that part of the UK, very densely populated part of the world. You can imagine a very big, larger metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Tasty.
There's an argument that is actually, you'd have much more effective government for Cardiff and the environs around it if it had a metro mayor, rather than this national administration, which has to cover actually very different parts of Wales, North Wales, which is very different to the needs of Cardiff. That debate around metro mayors is obviously on steroids in this country because we've just created a bunch of them in England. What do you think about that critique of devolution in Wales, but also Scotland, where you didn't have the metro mayors, you couldn't have the kinds of urban renewal, which increasingly we associate with places like Manchester?
Yeah, and it's been very impressive what has been done in those areas, and it's very, very important that we have effective structures in Wales's urban areas. When you look at the Cardiff Capital Region organisation working alongside a Cardiff Council, there is a lot that they can do in terms of local administration. But one of the things I think that works well for Wales, potentially, is our scale. And yes, it would be a scale that is made up of a mix of urban and rural, but we are of a size where you can make things work across sort of all of our geographic area. We're a population of around 3 million people. It's the kind of size of population where you can find a way of doing things and making sure you replicate that right across the health system or the education system. And I don't think the fact that it's a mix of urban and rural in itself should hold us back. Leadership can come in many forms, and I want a Plaid Cymru government that if I were to be the first minister leading it, to have a really good proactive relationship with those more local areas, including Cardiff Council.
Who would your favoured allies be? I mean, right now, if the MRP poll from YouGov, I think it is to be believed.
Omaha, you're going to kick yourself with this one. It's called the equestrian class. And there was also the Ediles as well. And the quaestors. So it's the equestrian class. Know your Greek and Latin roots, everyone. Because that's where we've basically... what we've based everything off of, essentially. So the quaestors. Or the equestrian class. Basically, the Roman knights, the cavalry. So the vast majority of the question class were soldiers or former soldiers who had retired, and they were richer and bought property and land and blah blah blah. Equities, yeah, equities. Know your barracks commanders, most of them were that class. So that's later on. The later part of the empire, essentially. This is well after Octavian, by the way.
It's suggesting that you and Labour would be the combination with the most, members of the Senate, and then it would be you and the Greens. Both plausibly could be a majority. Who would be the preferred candidate?
Yeah, and one. I believe in cooperation. Cooperation is really important. I think people expect it. We have a system that has never delivered a majority government, and that we've changed it for this election. And again, the expectation is that there won't be a majority government. But that's normal when you look across so many European countries. I think with devolution still being relatively young, 27 years old, people aren't quite maybe still in that place where they accept, no, there has to be cooperation. And the right in politics will accuse us of having propped up Labour over the years. Well, it's not propping, it's using influence. What I want to have is a situation where ideally we run a minority government, but that other parties feel able to influence us, and where we reach out to them and say, okay, where is the common ground between us? What can we work on in terms of legislation, in terms of budgets? What is it that we agree on, and that by bringing our forces together, we can be greater than the sum of the parts, and we'll look across a number of parties and see, okay, let's do this, and bring stability to the people of Wales in that way. But with others able to contribute their ideas and crucially, votes.
And I think late last year you said in New York it's Mamdani, in Wales it's Plaid. So are you the Welsh Mamdani, and why?
I made it explicit in that election, in that interview, that I didn't say I was a Welsh version of Mamdani, because that's not the point. The point is that I felt energised from Wales looking at what was happening in New York. And a lot of people currently are looking for that kind of hope, because that's what Mamdani stood for. He stood for hope, a different way of doing things, a self-belief in what collectively we can do. We saw it in the by-election in Caerphilly in Wales, where people said, you know what, we believe in what Plaid Cymru stand for in this election and their vision. We also want to keep out the far right, because that is not hope. That's the...
I'm all self-taught. Don't get standard grades for the Latin and classics from a comparative religions teacher. I miss that man so much. He was really, really good, and a leftist. So yeah, instead of doing PE, I done Latin and classics, which would have been 30 years ago, when I was but a young thing. I just carried on from there. Like, I'm a Hellenistic nerd, for Christ's sake. I also like the Roman Empire. But you're a girl. Fucking shut up. Plenty of women like the Roman Empire. So get wrecked. I know. People have literally said that to my face. Said, but you're a lassie, and I'm not allowed to be interested in history, or the Roman Empire, or the Roman Republic. I don't know. I wouldn't. Don't worry. We've got Comrie and Specs Bean Farmer as well. If you want anything spelt in Welsh, ask those two lovely individuals. Christ, don't even ask me to spell some Scottish things either. Depends what part of the Scotland it's from. If it's got P in it somewhere, or if it begins with a P, it's usually from my neck of the woods, because the Picts were obsessed with the letter P for reasons.
vision. We want that hope, and I think Plaid Cymru very much carries that mantle in Welsh politics currently, and surely like-minded people, whether we're in New York or Newborough in my constituency, that sense of let's learn from each other and
Newport,
take energy from each
presumably.
other. I could have lots of news. We have several Newports. Yeah.
You've
I went
got
for one in my own patch.
There we go. Oh. Oh. Fuck it. Why not?
So our last story of the day is about the World Cup. So the World Cup risks becoming a, quote, stage for repression and a platform for authoritarian practices unless urgent action is taken to respect human rights across the US, Canada and Mexico, according to a new report from Amnesty International. Millions of football fans, including the Tartan Army, of course, are set to attend the expanded 48-team tournament, which kicks off on June 11th when Mexico face South Africa, with Scotland playing their first game against Haiti on June the 14th. While FIFA statutes embed a commitment to making sure hosting the Showpiece Global event does not involve, quote, adverse impacts on internationally recognised human rights, concerns remain, particularly around the USA, where 78 of the matches will take place at 11 venues, including the final in New Jersey. The report states, quote, FIFA itself has promised a tournament where everyone feels safe, included and free to exercise their rights. It is a promise that has rarely been more needed, and it is at high risk of being broken. The group has been highlighting the actions of the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE agents, which resulted in civil unrest, as well as travel bans, discrimination against LGBT plus people, along with Mexico's response to high levels of violence. The Amnesty International report concludes, quote, there is still time to save the 2026 World Cup from becoming a stage for repression and a platform for authoritarian practices. Hamish, do you think the World Cup is going to end up being a big story of the summer for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, I think it's already a big story for the wrong reasons. I mean, you see sort of strange kind of future tense throughout this that, you know, we can't be seen to kind of be whitewashing the decay of the US under Trump, but we already see that, and we kind of see it we see it with these deadly ICE raids that have resulted in at least 2 American citizens being murdered. We see it with, you know, whatever the latest sort of illegal war that Trump is starting. Everything that sort of touches him, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's, you know, anything, whether it's Keir Starmer, for instance, is just tarnished by association with him. And we see that already with, you know, Gianni Infantino and Lionel Messi posing for photographs with him. I mean, I think that currently we're seeing how awful this is, and clearly this is going to become a focal point for anti-Trump protests in the United States. And yeah, I don't want to be the fun police, but I can't see how it would be very much fun going to Donald Trump's America currently. I mean, it just seems like a sort of febrile.
Yeah, don't piss off a Scottish footy fan. No violence, but what always gets a chuckle out of me is what the ooh. I have a new follower. Ooh, new follower. Who followed me? Kamini U235. I recognise those numbers. Hello, Khamenei. Back to my chat. But yeah, I was. Oh god. I didn't mean to go into shield mode. There we go. But don't need to go that. Dear people of Scotland, we are 2 months away from enriching weapons grade uranium to be used for a peaceful purpose. Peaceful. It will be used only for medical research and clean energy, and it will certainly never be used to attack. Oh boy. Ah! Rejoice, comrades. Bry, your guy. Hello, Bry. I'm not going to be around for long. Kevin Logan is going on the leftist mafia tonight in about an hour, roughly. So hopefully you'll go live just before 1 a.m. my time, and I'll read into him. Praise be Brummy Comrade. Khamenei U235, that is rather funny.
Lawless land.
No, you're not wrong.
That I just yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to go at the moment. And I do appreciate it's such a complex situation because it's such a significant moment, Scotland being in the World Cup, and there are people who've supported the team their whole lives, you know? And so...
My mum's former work colleague, male midwife, I will not tell you his name, but he's Tartan Army. He's been Tartan Army for decades. I don't know if he's going. He is married to my first paediatrician, oddly enough. She was awesome. I loved my paediatrician when I lived up in Perth. He was really good. So they're huge Tartan Army people. I don't think they're going. I don't think so. Yeah, I just moved the World Cup to Mexico. Yeah. I'm not liking the fact that it's in America. Don't get me wrong, I will be watching the matches, obviously. Even if I was really, really rich, I still wouldn't have went over if I could afford. Anyway, even if you did have loads of fucking money to spare to go over to the matches, just be it for your country or anything, it was a lottery. Plus dynamic pricing? What the fuck, FIFA? You suck. There's another one that needs fucking dealt with. Just get rid of FIFA.
They want to go and support our country on the world stage, and I just think it's easy when you're like me and you only really tune into the football every few years for the big tournaments to say that that's less important than the political thing. But at the same time, the political
Fucking good question. Oh. I mean, everyone's went live. I can... Really good question. Fuck. FIFA's been more corrupt for longer. It's been corrupt for longer. That much is evident. They've been corrupt for a while now. Oh God, no. Considering what he was like back in the day in the 70s when he was a landlord. That's a really tough one to answer, Omaha. Fuck. Oh. Correct, they didn't. They're corrupt and they're easily bribed. They allow nations which do those kind of things to be fully voting members. Yeah, at least they haven't literally killed kids or done anything to... So Trump in that regard then? They're both corrupt in their own ways. Yeah. No, I've been yelling about FIFA for fucking 30 years. Or it seems like 30 years. It's probably not been that long. 25 years, fuck it. Oh god, yeah, third generation white collar crime. Plus his dad was a fucking fascist.
Thing is really significant because it is actual fascism taking over the United States of America.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I'm not bothered about football in the slightest. So it makes no difference to me not going or not watching it. But I think it is just sort of depressing. I think you see a lot of like how the American establishment has restructured itself around Trump that we in a way that we didn't see during the first Trump presidency, and you know all of these sorts of. I mean, there's maybe sort of parts of it that are holding out. We saw a little bit of that, I think, at the Oscars. But sort of like elite opinion in America seems to have shifted decisively in favour of Trump, and it's things like this that help that shift happen, right? It's kind of being able to ingratiate yourself with not just sort of the good and the great of the political world, but the good and the great of just society in general, whether that's the tech barons, whether that's, you know, FIFA, organisations like that. I mean, these help to sort of legitimise and to cement public opinion and to shape how things are responded to. I mean, the fact that we'd even have a difficulty saying, oh, well, you know, should you go to America to... Well, no, I don't think you should go to America because it's a basket case right now. I mean, I don't know if it's safe, right? Like, I went to America last year on a press trip, and I was really worried that I was going to be, like, stopped at the border because I was a journalist and there'd been stories about that happening. You know, and like, what if they like look and had read articles about, you know, stories that I'd written about Trump. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to America because, you know, clearly I went and had a good time, but it's disturbing that that we're sitting here thinking, well, there's plausible reasons, you know, that I could be nervous about this.
Absolutely.
When it's supposedly, you know, a democratic society.
No, I certainly wouldn't personally go at the moment. I would not want to be giving any money or credibility to that government, that administration. But as I say, I do feel somewhat uncomfortable sitting and saying nobody from Scotland should go to the US because, as I said before, I understand the significance of the World Cup, and a lot of people do just think, well, it should be totally separate from politics. But in reality, we're talking about it. We know that the administration is using it to sports wash. You know, I think sports washing is a great term for how we can kind of summarize this, because that is what they're doing. They're disguising everything with. I mean, Qatar did it.
Yeah, and you see it a lot with the Gulf states, don't they? The sort of Emiratis buy up football teams and things like that, and sort of try and rehabilitate. I mean, you've got like the Emirates Stadium and Arsenal's home ground, and was it Manchester City as well, are owned by one of the Gulf states. So yeah. I mean, it's like, and clearly it was a way that works. You know, like you can have some kind of quite repressive regime at home, but people have sort of slight affection for it because they own your local football stadium. I mean, it's
they have
ridiculous,
the Emirates
but it
Stadium
works.
in Glasgow.
Yeah.
I go play badminton there sometimes.
Yeah, clearly it works because it sort of normalises it, doesn't it, in a way?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it'll be something to keep an eye on over the summer. You know, I'm excited for Scotland being part of the tournament, 100%, but I'm very concerned about Scottish people going to the US, and I'm very concerned about what's happening in the US in general. And I have a feeling that there will be quite a lot of stories coming out in the summer about people being turned away at the border or being taken to deportation
Maybe
centres.
take a burner phone
Good idea, yes.
so you can't read your text and that.
Well, I mean, after some of the work we've done, I certainly wouldn't even be trying to go, even like as in my journalist capacity. I would definitely be getting held up. So I'm not planning on it. But I know some of our sports journalists are going to be going over there. And I wish them all the best. And I hope that their association with the national doesn't cause them any major problems. Yes.
Huh. I suppose this kind of hits on the election thing. Plus it's Simon Clark, so let's watch this one to show why it's a waste of fucking time. Not that you'll hear Kemi say that, of course. Whoever that is.
Don't know if you've noticed, bit of an energy crisis at the moment. For the second time this quarter, President Trump has authorized military force in a foreign country to try and secure oil supplies. Did it in Venezuela, now they've done it in Iran. And in response, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and that has led to oil and gas prices skyrocketing. And this has caused a global energy crisis, with different countries responding in different ways. I mean, the Philippines, for example, just declared a national emergency over energy because there's about 30 days left of fuel in the whole country. Meanwhile, here in the UK, there's been a very loud debate over whether we should be increasing production of domestic oil and gas.
No. Simple. Video over. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Should we should we extract the North Sea oil? No. Next question. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Meaning extracting more oil and gas from the North Sea, with proponents being on the political right, the Conservatives under Kemi Badenoch and Reform UK under Nigel Farage, saying that doing so would improve our energy security, and Reform UK actually going further and saying doing so would reduce our energy bills. And as you can probably tell from the title of this video, this is complete bollocks. And I want to talk about why through the lens of the three things that any energy system has to accomplish. It has to provide energy in a way that is affordable, in a way that is secure, and a way that is sustainable and can be done for a long time. And if you've seen one of my videos before, you'd probably expect me to harp on about the last one of those three, about the sustainability aspect. But to be honest, we are going to talk about it, but we don't even need to invoke it to demonstrate why this is a very stupid plan. Let's consider the hypothetical where the UK government issues new licenses for oil and gas drilling in the North Sea. Those licenses will be bought by private companies, and that's the end of the government's involvement, right? Private companies will then go ahead, build infrastructure, extract that oil and gas, and then they will sell it to the international market at international market prices. There are no conditions or regulations that require companies operating in British waters to sell oil and gas to Britain. Even if it's just coming a couple of miles offshore, it goes on the international market. This is the case now under the Labour government, and it is very much the case when the Conservatives are in power. I mean, when they were most recently in power, they said they would be very much against forcing private companies, well, I mean, to do anything, but in this case specifically, selling their fuels just to the UK. Increasing production in the North Sea will produce some oil and gas, but it's not going to flow to the UK. It is going to flow to where the international market dictates, who can afford to pay the price that's set. So from an energy security perspective, it doesn't help us at all. You could argue that doing so would still potentially decrease our energy bills because these companies would be making money in the UK and so they could be taxed. However, the parties pushing for this are not exactly big on taxation of private companies, with the alternative, I suppose, being enough oil and gas being produced in British waters that affected the international market, right? But about that, I'll show you two graphs here which show the expected production in the North Sea from oil and gas. If you look at the gas one specifically, which is the fuel we care more about in the UK, it's currently expected that production by 2050 will decrease by 97%. Whereas if you were to issue new licenses for all the discoveries that we know about of natural gas in the North Sea, production would still decrease. In fact, it would still decrease by 95%. The fact is, there is not very much left in the North Sea, certainly not enough to influence the international market. I mean, just to put this in perspective, the UK produces about 0.7% of all oil and gas worldwide. It's a little under 600,000 barrels of oil per day. Compare that to the 400 million barrels that the International Energy Agency released in response to Iran blockading the Strait of Hormuz, right? 400 million barrels released in a week barely changed the price. So if you think that a tiny increase in the already small output of the North Sea is going to change the international markets, I'm sorry, but it's just not going to happen. So from an energy affordability perspective, the first one of those conditions I mentioned, expanding production in the North Sea doesn't help us. It doesn't make our energy cheaper. It doesn't significantly increase taxation, and it's not going to significantly impact the international market. And it's also not going to do anything quickly. I mean, the process of going from a new license to actually extracting oil and gas and selling it to consumers takes about 10 years. Like, this isn't some emergency measure that we can just deploy and expect to result in 6 months. This is going to do nothing to help the fuel crisis that we are currently experiencing. Whereas there are options available to us that we can deploy much faster. In fact, the government is rolling out. I'll talk about those in just a moment, because I just want to address something that I imagine people would say in response to everything I've said so far, which is that a couple of days ago, as of recording this, there was a segment on Sky News by a guy called Ed Conway, who I know has done good work before, basically making the economic case for North Sea oil and gas. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't my analysis of this. This has come from someone who knows far more about the oil and gas market. This is from Tessa Khan at Climate Breakthrough on LinkedIn. But basically, she points out that the figures that went into that analysis on Sky News come from Offshore Energies UK, which is this industry lobbying group for offshore energy. And those figures are much more optimistic than what I have just presented to you. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, the figures that come from this Offshore Energies lobbying group assume that the windfall tax is going to be removed from oil and gas producers. To remind you, the windfall tax was introduced in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, when the price of oil and gas, just like now, shot up. And suddenly, oil and gas producers based in the UK were making monumental profits while consumers were paying much higher bills. That didn't seem fair to people in government, so they slapped an extra tax on those oil and gas producers, who, let's be clear, hadn't done anything to, actually make more money. They just sat there while the price of their commodity shot up for factors that were out of their control. Anyway, the tax was put on in the middle of an energy crisis and a cost of living crisis. And so the idea that this tax is going to be removed in the middle of an energy crisis, in the middle of a cost of living crisis, is not going to happen. As Tessa says on LinkedIn, it is, to put it mildly, tone deaf to assume that that is going to be the case. And this is significant because removing that tax from the producers means that they're going to have a lot more capital at their disposal, which means they can access parts of the North Sea that are currently too expensive to justify extracting. And so those figures that went into the Sky News segment were based on oil and gas that is currently economically unviable to extract, and in some cases technologically.
Basically damn near impossible in certain parts of the basin that we've got, both for gas and for actual oil, for crude. Just economic illiteracy at this point for that one in the North Sea. Plus, it's the wrong type of oil. It still goes in the global market, don't get me wrong, that happens. It's the wrong type of oil for energy purposes as well. Please, Simon, mention that. Thank you. It should have been written into the license agreements with these ones that they had to sell it back to the UK, to the government, to us, essentially. But the Tories would never do that, and this Labour government wouldn't either, I don't think. No.
Unviable to extract. The industry body described the figures that went into this report. The industry themselves described it as beyond realistic. And it's for this reason that the government's figures on how much oil and gas is actually accessible in the North Sea is significantly lower than the data presented on Sky News, the data that came from this trading body. The amount that's left in the North Sea is low, and it keeps trending down. So just to quickly recap, there is not much oil and gas left in the North Sea, and less than the industry claims that it can access. Trying to pump it out is not going to flow to the UK, for one thing, because it gets sold to the international market. So it doesn't improve energy security, and it doesn't have a large enough effect on the international market to change the price at all. So it doesn't improve the security or the affordability of our energy system. But then there's that last bit that I mentioned, the sustainability aspect. Let's be clear, fossil fuels are the reason we are in a climate crisis. Yes, there are other contributions to it, notably from agriculture, but burning coal, oil and gas is the reason why our planet is heating up faster than at any time in recent history. Just because oil and gas is off our coast does not mean that we should burn it. In fact, if we want to keep the planet at a habitable temperature, we need to leave oil and gas in the ground. Estimates vary about how much warming would take place if you burned all reserves. I mean, one estimate is that if you burned all the fossil fuels in the ground, the planet would warm by 8 degrees Celsius. And that would be great for shareholders for a really short period of time. And analysis has demonstrated that any increase in
Just a few
drilling in
years,
the North Sea would
then
not be compatible
planet
with the UK sticking to a 1.5 degrees warming trajectory. Whether or not that's something that's even technically possible anymore is a whole other debate. The point remains that we are talking about increasing our greenhouse gas emissions at a time when, I'd just like to point out, a couple of months ago we heard from the Joint Intelligence Chiefs via a report that the government didn't want to publish because they feared the public backlash, that every single ecosystem, every major ecosystem the UK depends on, is on a trajectory to collapse because of climate change and because of deforestation. We are seriously considering the idea of increasing our emissions given that we know that fact. But there has been an interesting argument made for the UK's oil and gas supplies being more environmentally friendly than gas from elsewhere that I do just want to touch on. So there's a claim that's come from various people, notably Claire Coutinho from the Conservatives, that has said that British oil and gas is 4 times less impactful in terms of the environment than imported liquefied natural gas. And there's an element of truth to this. The process of extracting that gas and then getting it to the consumers, if you look at the UK versus imported, which basically means from the USA, LNG, yeah, it is about a 4-to-1 difference. But extracting the oil and gas and getting it to the consumer is not where most of the impact of gas as a fuel.
The global thermal maximum was, I want to say, the Cretaceous, which is nearly 400 million years ago. This planet was hot hundreds of millions of years ago. But in the modern era, since we've been around, humans, Homo sapiens that is, so us, it's basically been, it was kind of low, but then the Industrial Revolution happened and spiked. Cold done that to us. And now it's just getting rampant again with fossil fuels. 1.5 of warming will be bad enough. Climate refugees are now inevitable. Now, if they've done that, if they basically burnt everything known that's across the globe, 8 degrees of warming is a planet-ending amount of warming. Like that would no or very low, drastically low numbers of humans, and whole ecosystems wiped, razed from the fucking planet. Yeah, which is so in certain parts that will be incredibly. And Shanna's already suffering. She lives in Arizona. It was 85 today there for her, and it's been over 100 recently, like in the last week. There'll be a massive amount of areas where basically death for humans, death for lots of different things. So no. If we do that and just create an orbital do a space laser and fire it at the planet. Be a quicker way to fucking end us.
Comes from. Most of it comes from burning the fuel. And when you compare the environmental impact of burning North Sea oil and gas versus American LNG, there's not that much of a difference. But also, the UK currently supplies about half of its gas, right? About 50%. We import about 15% of our gas from the Americans. The rest of it is imported from Norway via a pipe. And the funny thing is, the gas from Norway is even less impactful than UK gas. So if you wanted to make the argument that, well, you want to keep using gas but limit its environmental impact, then we shouldn't be expanding our production in the North Sea. We should just be buying more from the Norwegians. But that is still tying us to the fuel that we know is causing the climate crisis and is causing the single largest crisis that we face as a society. So you might well ask, well, hang on, why is anybody...
Yes, that's why it's called carboniferous, oddly enough. Who'd have thunk it? That was fucking, that's billions. So we're extracting something that used to be alive over 1 billion or billions of years ago. High heat and pressure done that. 600 million years ago. Yeah, it's just... Whoops.
Promoting this then? Why are the Conservatives and why are Reform pushing this so hard? And firstly, it's a simple answer to a complex problem. Generally speaking, parties on the political right really like simple messaging and saying we have some oil and gas in our backyard, why don't we just drill it and then we can save money, is a simple idea to communicate to somebody. The reality is much more complicated. But secondly, and more importantly, we know that there are extensive links between those two parties and the fossil fuel industry. I mean, we know that in the 5 years running up to the last general election, over 90% of donations to Reform UK came from climate deniers and fossil fuel interests. We know that the Conservatives have extensive ties with anti-climate science groups like the Global Warming Policy Foundation, who say that carbon dioxide has been demonized and it should be 2 or 3 times its concentration in the atmosphere. In fact, Kemi Badenoch ran her campaign to become head of the Conservatives from the home of the chair of Net Zero Watch, which is one of the UK's most prominent climate denial organisations. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that the loudest voices pushing for more production in the North Sea are very close friends with the only group of people that would benefit from us doing so. The only way that this would make any sense whatsoever is if there were absolutely no alternatives. But as I've already mentioned, there are alternatives. Alternatives that the government, fortunately, are pursuing really quite aggressively. To return to the 3 criteria I mentioned, we know obviously that renewables produce less carbon emissions than fossil fuels. We also know that they make energy cheaper. Over 90% of new renewables projects produce energy at a lower cost than fossil fuel equivalents. In fact, just yesterday, as of me recording this video, the UK set new records for the amount of energy we got from renewables, both wind, as just wind, and all renewables together. And that resulted in the energy price in the UK being way lower. And as for energy security, renewables are not affected by autocrats waging war on the other side of the world. In fact, they're not dependent on anything other than the wind and the sun. Yes, they are intermittent, but they are not insecure. And to the people who are arguing...
Simon, hello, Simon. Scotland's one of the windiest countries in Europe. If you didn't, you go up to Orkney or send your... Oh God, I've forgotten its name. I'm sorry. I've forgotten your wee Scot. You've got up here. I've forgotten his name. Bad Katie. Send him up to Orkney. Tell him to take a parka or a windproof jacket. It is literally windy there most of the days. Or Tidal, do fucking Tidal, just please, anyone fucking do Tidal.
That, oh, by buying these things, you're just increasing dependency on the places that build them, like China. Well, Yeah, you are, but you're doing that once. You're conflating the difference between owning something and renting something. Once you've bought this energy infrastructure, it just works. Whereas if you depend on energy infrastructure that you have to keep supplying with fuel, that fuel's got to keep coming. If you miss just one shipment, suddenly the whole system can fall apart. And all around the world, in response to this energy crisis, country after country is turning towards renewables because it just makes sense. In the UK, the government has brought forward the next huge auction of renewables. It was going to take place next year. Instead, it's going to take place this summer. In South Korea, their president has explicitly said, we need to be building more renewables in order to shield us from energy shocks. And actually, on that point, the Climate Change Committee, which is this independent group of experts that advises the government on climate issues, estimated that the cost of getting the UK to a net zero energy system will be lower than the cost of one oil shock. And if you think this is the last one that's going to happen between now and even the end of this decade,
like cattle.
I
I'm
think
not
that's
sure,
unrealistic.
actually, Omaha.
Looking at everything that's happening this year, it is so easy to feel powerless. I totally get it. We can see that the planet is changing around us, and we don't feel like we can do anything about it. Something I'm trying to do in my videos this year is give you clear, actionable steps that you can take to make a difference as an individual. But let's face it, when it comes to big energy projects or reversing biodiversity loss, I mentioned, you are very limited in what you can accomplish as an individual. But fortunately, when we work together, apes together strong. In fact, a couple of months ago, I did a partnership with an organization called Planet Wild that does crowdfunding for nature. Basically, every month, the Planet Wild community funds a new project that is related to the climate crisis or biodiversity loss, and then share updates with what that money has accomplished via their YouTube channel. I became part of that community. I have their app on my home screen, and a lot of people watching my videos joined too. In fact, so many that Planet Wild are back sponsoring this video. I really like what Planet Wild are doing, both the individual projects that they're picking. I mean, the most recent one is building the longest biodiversity corridor in South America, connecting disparate populations in the Cerrado in Brazil, with other projects including building wildlife crossings across highways in Canada, restoring peatlands in Europe, and regenerating forest in Tanzania. But also the framework of Planet Wild. Like, it's a community. And I love when they announce a new project on the app, people react with different emojis, and you can see different countries' flags coming in from around the world. And you really do feel like you're part of this global community that cares about this stuff. And a community that's based around action. Like, it's not just raising awareness of a problem, it's doing something and then holding themselves to account with those yearly updates. If you'd like to join the Planet Wild community of over 20,000 members, then you can do so right now. In fact, the first 100 people to sign up with my code, which is Simon3, will get their first month of membership paid for by me. So to do that, scan the QR code that's on screen or go to the link that's down in the description. See if you can be one of the first 100 people. You can give however much money you like per month. Literally every dollar does make a difference. And then each month you get to see an update of what your money is accomplishing, both in the app and on their excellent YouTube channel. Please do consider signing up and making a difference to conservation projects around the world. If you want to see them in action, check out their latest project in Brazil. Thank you for watching the video. Before we go, I do just need to thank some very special people. I'm only able to make these videos thanks to the generous support of my Patreon community at patreon.com/SimonOxFizz. Every video, I run a marble race with the names of all of my Patreon supporters in the mix, and the top 3 performers get shouted out. Patrons get early access to videos, they get exclusive content every month, notably a behind-the-scenes vlog, and at producer tier and higher, the names that you can see scrolling by on your screen, those patrons can vote on topics for me to cover in future videos. So thank you so much to all of my patrons for making this possible. Cool. And a special thank you to our winners, Pascal, Job Doretta, and John Walker. Thank you for watching the video. I'm sorry that this one is maybe a little too late. I would have loved to have made this like 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately I've been quite sick recently. If you enjoyed it, please do share it with people who you think would benefit from the information in it and potentially have been misled by certain people in the media. If you'd like to watch something else from me next, then here's a video I prepared earlier. And here's a video from the Planet Wild community. You can also check out Planet Wild somewhere on the screen and subscribe to this channel if you like me enough to see much more of me in the future. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
let's see, I've got. Well, not yet. Oh, for crying out loud. Stupid bladder. I will be back momentarily, friends. Oh. Hmm. Hmm.
That burn, 5 minutes and 49 seconds, will be on the Orbital Maneuvering System engine, part of the European Service Module. We are now 1 day and 1 hour into the flight of Artemis 2. "13 minutes from the time of ignition, Orion just about 1,300 miles away from the Earth's surface.
Integrity, maneuver to burn attitude starting in 2 minutes.
Integrity copies.
Integrity, saws are configured for the burn.
Copy saws.
The calls you hear in Mission Control Houston coming from Capcom NASA astronaut Chris Birch up to the crew aboard Orion. The solar array wings have been configured into the position for the burn. They are moved forward up toward Orion and away from that orbital maneuvering system engine. This protects the solar arrays during the burn. Keeps them safe from any loads that may be imparted from the thruster as it fires. Again, coming up on 11 minutes until the time of ignition, and we are standing by for Orion to maneuver into the burn attitude.
How much fuel would they need to send them to the moon? I would assume a fair amount. Make sure Elon's on the rocket with them.
Orion now just 1,000 miles above Earth.
Yeah, they'd be in the Van Allen.
Just over 10 minutes until time of ignition for the translunar injection burn that will send Orion beyond the moon and commit us to a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10. Approaching 900 miles above Earth's surface, and at time of ignition, Orion will be just 115 miles above Earth, approximately 250,000 miles away from our lunar neighbor.
Hmm.
Quiet here in Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, as we approach the translunar injection burn. Less than 9 minutes away from time of ignition of this 5-minute, 49-second burn.
Oh, hold on. I'll put the volume down a bit.
Again, the crew received the go for this configuration this morning to proceed with translunar injection from the mission management team here at Johnson Space Center.
It would
1 minute left in our maneuver to burn attitude.
ruin the shape of the Earth. Change, no, not ruin. Well, define ruin in this case. It would change the shape of the Earth, which would make the weather patterns and other climate atmospherics
Orion now
very,
650
very
miles
dangerous
away
for us.
from Earth and continuing to
For
be
most
delivered to its burn
life on
attitude, or
Earth.
its proper positioning for that translunar injection burn.
It's a gas giant.
All flight
It is
controllers here
nearly,
continuing
it's
to monitor
nearly a
their systems,
fucking
with
planet. It's
everyone
nearly a
ready and
fucking
go
sun.
for our journey to the moon.
Like it's just short of a sun. Mm. Needs 75 Jupiters to turn it into a red dwarf.
Integrity, Orion is in burn
Mm.
attitude.
Just laughing at a joke from Red Dwarf.
Okay, we show the same.
Capcom Chris Birch confirming to the crew that Orion is in the proper attitude, the proper positioning for the translunar injection burn, now less than 6 minutes and 20 seconds away. Orion is less than 500 miles from our Earth. Again, tick down
I
to
believe
115
so.
miles above the Earth's surface.
Kev, I thought you would have went live by now. Just to get geared up and everything. Maybe he has went live and just hasn't posted it. Give me a minute, let's see if he's live. Rate channel. It's just lads on his own.
Coming up on 1 day and 1 hour and 10 minutes since the launch of the Artemis II mission from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, And we've just marked 5 minutes until the time of ignition for the translunar injection burn, which will send us to the moon. Our crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Cook, and Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen are all aboard the spacecraft, which is properly configured for the burn. This commits us to leaving Earth orbit and moving beyond the moon. It also is our deorbit burn and commits us to coming home, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10. The spacecraft is in the proper attitude, the proper configuration, with its solar array wings swept up toward the spacecraft, allowing the orbital maneuvering system engine, which will conduct the burn, to prevent it from imparting any loads on those solar
Don't
array
worry,
wings.
Tim, we're just sending this to the moon, honest.
This will be a 5-minute and 49-second burn, at which point Orion will be just 115 miles
It's rather
above
funny,
Earth.
Omaha.
It remains quiet here in Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, as teams continue to monitor their systems. Everything's still looking good, and everyone go for translunar injection.
Ooh. Yeah, yeah. It really is the toll. That's why all your astronauts and stuff.
3 minutes now
They're-
until the
they're-
time of ignition for the translunar injection burn.
Super athletes, essentially. And they come back with lifelong conditions,
Orion
mostly
now
like
190 miles above
they
Earth's
lose
surface, 200
muscle and bone mass
48,600 miles away from the moon.
because no gravity. We need this gravity to help maintain this form. You know, like I couldn't go. I wouldn't be able to survive the fucking leaving the Earth. My body's
Continuing
fucked
to
enough
hear
as it is in
reports
one gravity,
from
let
the
alone
flight
fucking
controllers
50
here,
it would
Artemis
take to
Mission Control in
go.
Houston.
A break at the best of times, for fuck's sake. Oh, someone asked a question in that chat. Because progressive neoliberal governments defunded NASA. Oddly enough. Stupid fucking capitalism at the end of the day. Oh no, I physically wouldn't be able to survive the leaving Earth. So I'm already going at the gate, literally.
Orion just 130 miles
They
above
could
planet
be
Earth.
they could be doing other things,
As we
yes,
mark
my
1
dear.
minute until the time of ignition of the translunar injection burn. Correction to an earlier report, that will be a 5-minute and 50 second burn on the Orbital Maneuvering Services engine. Mission Control is go.
Oh no, it's
The
less.
crew
It's
is
not
go.
an inch a
Giving
year.
live
I
view
don't
from
think it's
Orion
less than
now on
that.
Earth.
Be thankful it isn't getting closer.
Ten seconds until translunar injection burn start.
That's like millimeters. Oh,
Integrity, good engine, good control.
We show the same. Feels great up here.
At MET, mission elapsed time of 1 day, 1 hour, and 14 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission. As Orion was flying 115 statute miles above Earth and 247,600 miles away from the moon, we have the start of the translunar injection burn that will send the crew around the moon, the first humans to do so in over 50 years.
About 20 seconds, I believe. Oh. That's not in my end.
Again, this will be a 5-minute and 50 second burn on the Orbital Maneuvering Service Engine, part of the European Service Module. Continuing to hear good calls here from Prop in Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas.
Did he?
Integrity, looking
My
good.
God, darling. Well, jealous.
Integrity copies.
And that's it. It would have been, was it Street Fleet Patrol? It would. It's still the same issue. Most civilian
Velocity
grade
of the spacecraft ticking up,
tech
now
wouldn't
over
survive.
23,900 miles
Just
per
saying.
hour.
Don't get me wrong, there's civilian grade that might be able to survive. Depends what it is, though. Might, I
2
say
minutes
might
into this
survive.
5-minute and 50 second burn. Continuing to get good calls here in Mission Control Houston from all flight controllers.
Integrity, we copy the enabled caution, no crew action.
Okay, integrity copies.
Is he falling? Oh,
The crew did receive a caution on their screen and have no action at this time. We continue to burn the translunar injection burn.
Integrity, similar caution, no crew action.
Integrity copies.
Over 3 minutes now into the translunar injection burn. These live views coming from Orion as it looks back on Earth, leaving high Earth orbit and beginning its journey to the moon. We are now 230 miles above Earth, 246,500 miles away from the moon. Again, this burn started on time. MET, mission elapsed time 1 day, 1 hour, and 14 minutes.
still nothing
We are
from.
targeting a 5-minute and
from a comrade.
50 burn. We've just hit the 4-minute mark into the burn. Quiet here in Mission Control Houston as flight controllers continue monitoring all systems. Everything looking good.
Four minutes. Check again to see if he's went live. Radar channel.
We have 1 minute left in the translunar injection burn. Everything continuing to look good. Again, these live views coming to you from Orion as it looks back on Earth and begins its
Wow.
journey to Moon. And this, a live look inside Mission Control Houston. Flight Director Jeff Radigan monitoring all of the Orbit 1 teams.
Oh.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman has also joined us in the room to monitor the translunar injection burn. We have less than 20 seconds left of this burn. This is the final major burn for the mission.
He's going live in 20
because
minutes.
This also serves as our deorbit burn.
Eh. My God, am I the youngest? My chat's older than me. Holy fuck. Rejoice, your lass is the youngest now. I'm usually the oldest, which is weird. No, fuck it. We'll play a short Kev one to get us in the mood. No, I'm right in the middle. I've got cousins older than me and cousins younger than me. Is that the last? Yeah, fuck it, this one.
So, chap, Zach Polanski is doing exactly what he said he would do. He is creating huge amounts of renewable energy by consistently boiling the piss of conservatoids, which can then turn a turbine, creating energy. It's a kind of nuclear power, except it's like nuclear brainworms from the Daily Mail, that sort of thing.
Are you Omaha?
And
Okay.
just such a thing happened on Christmas Day. He doesn't even stop for Christmas Day. That's how relentless he is. Here in Britain, for those who don't know, we live in a very stupid country. It's very, very stupid indeed. You might even say...
Kev's correct.
Where we going? Garbage Island.
And so, being the Shrek-like hellscape that we are, we still have a monarch. At the moment, it's the sausage-fingered lunatic known as Charles. Old Chaz Chuckington put out a Christmas message, as indeed all monarchs have for quite some time. And on Christmas Day, they put out this message, and it's bollocks. It's mostly bollocks. It's pablum. It's who cares, right? But it's seen as like a tradition, and so people who wank on about tradition and Britishness and all this sort of stuff get very, very watery-eyed about it. Even though I imagine that, like the rest of the country, no one watches it. But whatever. Lots of other people over recent years have started putting out their versions of it. So politicians will do a Christmas speech and stuff. But
I
they've always,
agree, my dear.
how do I say this? Deep-throated the boot by not putting it on at the same time that the King's speech is on, because you couldn't do that. That would be terrible. The King is like a god creature. One mustn't inconvenience him or her, whatever. By the way, can we get some lols in chat for Liz still being in a box? In a box. Liz. In a box. Still funny. Years later. Anyway, Zach Polanski, very much speaking
That was the
to
Green
his
Brigade, so that was
constituents.
Celtic fans doing that.
And by which I don't mean like in London, because he's a London Assembly member. I mean...
Oh
his
my God!
constituency in
So
the
yes, it's
country,
Good Friday.
who want him to be a disruptor, who want him to say fuck you to the establishment. He put it on at exactly the same fucking time. Oh yes, he absolutely ignored all of the bullshit and said,
Madame
no, I'm going to put
Guillotine.
it on at exactly the same fucking time as the king. Fuck you. And the right wing went mental. Further, proving his point, I think. The people who want Zach Polanski to be Zach Polanski loved it. Every second of it. From him doing it, and we'll get to it in a second, to him doing it at the exact same time as the king, and boiling the ever-loving piss out of rightoids. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
I'm on the ferry coming back from Calais. About 50 of these journeys happen every single day. Waved my passport and through I went. I'm really aware.
And he doesn't even have a blue passport. What an unpatriotic monster. This was not the Brexit we voted for. Or something.
Although I've spent the last few days with lots of people who do not have that privilege. And they're trying to make this crossing because they literally have no other choice. The images and video you're about to see won't centre the voices of the people who I've met, and that's the deliberate reason to preserve their dignity. But I do want you to see some of what I've witnessed over the last few days through my eyes. I'm telling this story on Christmas Day for a reason. So often I ask you to like and share videos, and I appreciate that. But Christmas Day is a day when most people, not everyone, are around other people. So gather around, because there's a story you need to hear about what's happening in Calais. And it's the complete opposite to the misinformation and lies we are fed every single day.
Honestly, this guy is goated. This guy is goated. He put it on to clash with the king, and he's saying the one thing that no other politician is saying. These people are human. How about we treat them as such? The one opinion you're never allowed to have, which is, how about we treat them with dignity? Like human beings. Because if we don't treat them like human beings, are we ourselves truly human?
People often say that France is a safe country, and sure, if you're a British citizen going on holiday to Nice, I'm sure it's lovely. Calais is not a safe place. Some of it.
Well, apparently, if you're called Kevin, it's not a good place. There's anti-Kevin rhetoric in France. We looked at that the other day. Tish tish.
The things I've seen over the last few days will stick with me for a long time. I want to talk to you about wood. People need wood when they're sleeping outside. They need to burn it for heat and make sure that they're drying their clothes in waterlogged conditions. But there isn't enough wood in Calais, and so volunteers spend hours and hours sourcing pallets, chopping them up, and then distributing to the people who are in need. But then you have the police who come along every 48 hours without warning. They slash people's tents, they evict people from the sites, and they...
Honestly, no matter where you go in the world, it's always 1312. For reals.
They take their wood. The people watch, they stand aside for 10-15 minutes, and then they return to the same site. This time though, it's even more decimated, and again, there is no wood. They spend their time rebuilding, looking for more wood, they eventually get it, and the police come round again. It is a farcical, deadly cycle that everyone is involved with, and we're funding it. The UK government is giving £476 million over a 3-year deal for the militarisation and securitisation of Calais. We should be diverting that money to a humanitarian and compassionate response.
Absolute goatage. Can we get some salutes in chat? The one politician in Britain who's not an absolute fucking ghoul. Like, it's so whack that we live in a place where there's one politician who isn't an absolute fucking wanker. And he's not even saying anything outrageous here. He's not saying we need to let every human being in the world into Britain. He's saying, how about we treat people like fucking human beings instead of slashing their tents and stealing their firewood? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? Like, as if that needs to be said. Absolute madness. Absolute fucking madness. The lockstep at Westminster of all of the major parties going on about how, you know, the small boats is the biggest crisis in the fucking world. No, it isn't. The fact that people in Britain are starving is a crisis. The fact that we have an NHS, even with recent investment, on its fucking knees is a crisis. The fact that we have people choosing between heating and eating is a crisis. The fact that we have still record numbers of child homelessness is a crisis. Some people turning up on boats is not a crisis. It's an inevitable response to you refusing to allow any legal migration. And there's one person that leads a major political party in Britain who isn't a monster, and his name is Zach Polanski.
Because the rhetoric we hear about stopping the boats and smashing the gangs, none of this is working. In fact, there's evidence that this whole performative cruelty is actually pushing up the price of boat crossings, and we know that the boat crossings are rising. People told me over and over again, we cannot stay in Calais and we're not allowed to leave. So why did I ask you to gather around and to hear this? Because this has to stop. The constant political rhetoric and demonization of people who are just trying to survive in unimaginable living conditions. I don't believe that we're the country that the media paint us to be. I don't believe that we're cruel and we're heartless. And I don't believe...
I know he has to say that, but like, a lot of the political discourse this weekend has been around fox hunting and how they want to legalise fox hunting. Because Tories, not to put too fine a point on it, are scum. Absolute scum.
A bunch of fascist slags.
If people saw what I've seen over the last few days, they would turn away.
I realise some of this can be an unusual Christmas Day message, but actually at the heart of all of it is compassion, kindness,
Fucking hell,
and
Vicky, I
humanity.
forgot about that.
And whether you're religious or not, I think that's something we can all do more of in 2026. Really want to give a shout out to Calais Appeal and all the volunteers and staff who do incredible work. You will see the crowdfunder attached to this video. Whatever you're doing today, Merry Christmas.
It's perfect. It's the perfect counter to all of the evil.
Nice when I can't give a duck.
I don't know that it'll make much
Kev's
difference.
live! Kev's live.
I'm glad someone's
you.
fighting the real fight. Very impressive.
Kevin?
Here is the Calais Appeal.
Stop it. Get some help.
Forgot to turn the noise alerts off. Oh God. Give money to them. Absolutely awesome. And join the Green Party.
Kev! Thank you, Omaha. Kevin. Haha! Start raid. Oh, right, I've already got one in progress. Okay.
This is the flower of our resistance, and those who die will pay.
No, Liam, he's not. Kev?
From all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell, of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be